Well, I'm very excited to be joined by the one and only Elisabeth Elektra. Hello.
Hi Ben, how you doing?
I am very well, thank you. We were just saying before we came on, we're loving a bit of sunshine happening in the world.
So happy. I even put on my sunny jumper, even though it's like
I
really
can
appropriate for the weather, just
see
so
it's lovely.
like pleasing. And I'm wearing some like very bright, unusually bright clothes for me.
That's great. So there you go. If you want to see all these bright colors, you can watch the YouTube of this later on.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Worth it for that. Also, the massive moon behind your head.
Yeah, there is a moon on my head.
It's
It's
framing it
actually
so nicely.
from the video for my sisters.
Ah, cool. There we go. Very nice. And some leopard print just hanging out there as
Yeah.
well.
It's just like it's a thing that
Yeah.
I bought a holographic caftan.
Oh,
And
nice.
this was like the free gift, but I don't really wear scarves, so it's just ended up sitting on the chair in my room.
Great.
It's fine to do with it.
I mean, I feel you don't even need an excuse for leopard print, really. That's just,
Never an excuse for
that's
leopard
fine. Well, it's really lovely to actually sit and chat. I feel like we've already met each other and chatted before, but I don't think
I
we've
feel.
ever actually chatted face to face on Zoom, have we?
Yeah, I don't think we have either,
No.
but I definitely feel like we have also. Maybe we haven't forgotten
Maybe we
maybe.
have. But yeah, we've connected over, I guess, this last year in a similar way to I've met loads of our lovely queer musician family kind of just like online. And yeah, it's been such a blessing for me in this last year. How have you found it with connecting
Yeah,
with me?
same, a blessing, a real blessing. Like I was saying, I was talking to a friend the other night, I haven't spoken to you for a while, and I said to her, that one of the really good things to come out of this really tough year is this kind of sense of community with other musicians, with the kind of this sort of quarantine kind of crew, and then also with
Yeah.
other Scottish musicians who I've met through Pop Girls or Hen House. There's just, I think it's really nice, and that's definitely been a sort of silver lining.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just nice to find I know, your tribe, even if it's online for the time being. But it's nice. So, for those who don't know you, I've definitely played you on the show before, for sure. But what's Elisabeth Elektra all about? What's what's going on?
I mean, I guess it's just me. I know I can't I find it hard to separate myself from my work. It
Hmm.
is just kind of like the many facets of my brain kind of made into music and visuals, I suppose. Yeah, I've written songs for a long time. I've been in, I've done like various music projects, but then after a while, I just wanted to do something that was just me, using my name, doing exactly what I wanted to do. So that's kind of what it is. And I guess it's sort of weird pop music.
Beautifully weird and marvelous pop music. And I feel like you have like a really kind of strong message in your music as well, and sort of certainly like kind of the visuals and everything else going to come into that as well. Where does that kind of come from, and what do you feel you're trying to get across if you are trying to get across anything in your music?
I mean, I think I write very intuitively. So when I write music, it's kind of it just comes out, and then afterwards I might be evaluating it and going, okay, well, this definitely is about this, And sometimes I think the message of my music doesn't become apparent to me until like quite late in the game. But I think you know I'm I suppose I'm quite a passionate person about a lot of things. So everything that I'm interested in does tend to sort of feed into my songs, and the things I really care about feed into my songs. Um, and then some of my songs are just fun. Some of my songs I don't feel like have any really, any sort of deeper meaning to them. And aesthetically, uh, I work with a really great artist called Marina Feeney, and she's from California, and she's a real visionary, and she's really helped curate the aesthetic for Mercurial. So everything that you see is very much like a kind of synthesis of me and Marina. You
Mm,
know, our kind of us coming together, and then we're really good friends, and I think that there's just always a really great energy when we work together.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I have to credit her with that, really.
that's great though. It's so important to find these people that you can just bounce off of each
Yeah,
other and kind of be
it's
creative.
very, yeah.
And was there any, because it's very specific, the visuals are very like recognizable. Was there any particular like influences or points of reference that you were going for?
No, we just kind of again, very intuitive, you know. We just sort of I mean, I guess the only thing that really influenced it is that I love these crystals. I happen to have one right here, which
Great.
wasn't planned at all, but it means I can show it to you. You'll see
Gorgeous. Oh, it's
how
massive.
how and I love these. So this is a particular treat that it's quartz, but then it's gone through a treatment process where they get coated with metals and they make these kind of like amazing futuristic looking things.
Yeah.
And I love them. And so I think that that was a big, kind of making myself into a big piece of aura quartz was like definitely an inspiration.
Yeah, well, I feel like you've definitely achieved that. That's really cool. Like just looking at that, all the colors that come out, I'm like, oh, it's very Elizabeth Electra. Job done, I'd say. Well done. Great. No, that's really cool, and I think it's clear that you, yeah, spend a lot of time thinking about the kind of the visual side of it as well as obviously the music also. But which to me, I think is always like the fun part of it. Also, to kind of like how
It's
you
so
can,
much fun.
yeah,
The
how you
visuals,
can
yeah.
turn it into something for the eyes as well as the ears.
Mm. Yeah, I think if we've grown up like, music has always been visual, whereas I guess for
Mm,
older people it hasn't always been visual, but like I think for us growing up with like MTV and stuff, you just always had this association between a sound and also then the visual of it. And I think, I've always been drawn to artists who have a really, who have strong aesthetics, even if those aesthetics change
mm,
frequently, you know. I still like I've always just been kind of drawn to that. If people, there are a few artists I like who don't have kind of
mm.
like sort of aesthetic.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's really important. I think yeah, even more these days in the way that we kind of consume everything, I guess. But it's like having that alongside everything else. Um, So, we are going to hear on this show a few different bits of music, one of which is going to be a live performance of My Sisters. Just, I've said it before, I'll say it, one of my faves. So, so I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about this particular live performance, but also just live performance in general, like what is a live performance for you? What are you kind of missing, and what are you hoping to do in the future? Because I know that you've maybe got some exciting live performance stuff up your sleeve. I think so.
Yeah, I love performing live. I do get quite shy, um, and I don't drink or anything, so there's nothing ever to like take the edge off.
Mm,
So yeah, I especially if it's like a bigger audience, I'm like, actually, maybe not. Maybe even like a smaller audience is even more terrifying because they're just like
yeah,
right
you
up,
can
like
see everybody.
so close up. So the recording here is from a performance I did in December for my friend's astrology symposium called Aquarius Rising.
Mm,
And I recorded it just in the studio. So, and my friend Kat Myers, who's a really wonderful drummer, she is on the drums. And
which I think I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I think we went to uni together.
tune.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I think Kat was in. So I went to Napier in Edinburgh. I did
yeah,
classical music course. Kat was on the pop music course, which was like the
yeah.
much cooler course. I always wanted to be. I was on the classical course, but I always used to hang out with the pop kids to be like, "Hey, I'm cool too." Uh, But I think Kat was maybe a year, maybe above me or something. But yeah, I remember Kat very well.
Yeah, she's great.
Kat
She's
was
really
really cool.
yeah. It was a weird show because there was no audience,
Mm,
but I was nervous at all. So it was yeah, it was kind of surreal, but it was really great to be able to get dressed up. You know, I love getting dressed up for
yeah,
shows, and yeah, just planning what I was going to wear and like, getting everything together. I really enjoyed that part of it, probably more than anything else. There's just not been much opportunity in lockdown to like wear my stage wear.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you
Mm.
think the live streaming of music is something that you'll want to continue, of like live
Yeah,
performance?
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's a really great way to make shows more accessible. I think that um, it makes them more accessible for the disabled community as well, which I think
Mm,
is really important. Um,
yeah.
there are so many venues that just aren't accessible at all, and I think that that's also been like a silver lining to the pandemic has been like how accessible things have become.
Mm,
Generally speaking, obviously there are exceptions, but um, yeah, I think it's something I hope that it's something that people will continue to do because I like it. I've enjoyed watching some
mm,
people's live streams. There was a really great Iona Lee, who used to be I Am Who Am I? She did an amazing live stream, which was like really inspiring,
yeah.
especially during this whole time period, like to be able to see somebody do something. And also I think it allows you to take your performance into other spaces and have
Mm,
sort of site specific performances, which is something that I'm doing with the project that's coming up this year with Cryptic Arts,
mm,
Sonic Surroundings. I was approached by them, by Kathy, to take part in her project, and I think it's going to be the first one they do, where I'm going to be filmed performing live in the Highlands, which is really like
so cool.
dream gig.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything really apart from like if I could perform in space, but that's not
Next year, next year.
yeah. So
Cool.
that's really exciting. And I'm already like obviously the thing I'm most excited about is costumes. It's like the only thing I've thought about so far.
uh,
Costumes to do with the sound or anything. I'm just like, what am I
yeah,
gonna wear?
yeah. Is it going to be inspired by the Highlands? Are there any of
Mm.
taking inspiration from there,
I
or is it?
mean, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think that there's a couple of things. I think would be an interesting tension between some of my existing costumes, which are
Mm,
very. I have like a kind of PVC sort of plastic corset
yeah.
and some quite unnatural fabrics and like quite plasticky accessories. And I think there's an interesting contrast between that potentially and the landscape. But I also want to try to do some stuff that's maybe more like harmonizes with
Yeah.
the landscape. So that's something that I'm, yeah, thinking about looking for somebody to make some costumes. So if you're a
Okay.
costumer and you're listening to this, hit me up.
Yeah, yeah. Get that share in there now. I do know a costume designer actually, so maybe I'll hook you up. Yeah, that's really cool, really exciting. Well, I can't wait to kind of to hear more and see more of that happening as well. Um, so you live in a very musical household, I think. I know that you were part of an amazing campaign to get mogwai to #1. Can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
that?
So my husband plays guitar in Mogwai,
Mhm.
and it's been a really tough year for them. It's been really really tough because they're a band who just play live all the time,
Yeah, that's
and
kind of how
that's
I know mogwai. Like that's what I know mogwai as. Like growing up, going to festivals in Scotland and stuff. It's like, oh yeah.
yeah, they're like, they're like a big festival band. They're a big live band. They work extremely hard, and I think to have all of that, and also they've been doing this for so long that suddenly for that to be just taken away, it's like a little bit. I don't think Stuart's probably ever been in the same place this long since he was like 17.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been a a difficult year. And so, and the album, I mean, I love the album, obviously I'm quite close to it, but I think I can still be objective, and I really connected with it in a way that, you know, was quite strong. So I thought before, you know, when I heard it before its release, I was like, I think this is really special. I think this is great. I think people are going to really connect with it. And but you know, the thought of it being number one had just really never crossed anyone's mind. You know, Stuart and I would we talk about the charts, and we talked about, it was like, oh, you know, it'd be great to like just get a better chart position than we got last time, or like the same or better would be really good. And I think their last album before this got to number 6. So we were like, oh yeah, it'd be great to get top 5. Top
Yeah.
5 would be like so cool, you know? And then in the week where we got, like, because labels get the charts early, and we saw this and we were just like, what? We never even, it was just not something that anyone had ever thought would happen. So the whole week I was on Twitter,
Hmm.
and obviously Getz had released his album, um, and I saw some people being like, Getz needs to get to number 1. We need to do a campaign. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're doing this. So I like made the hashtag. I just went like, I've never gone so hard at anything in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably lost a lot of followers that week. Like this bitch
Oh,
will
who
not.
cares? Who cares? But that's
No, I don't. Yeah, totally. Because I mean, it was also a beautiful thing, because it really, like, I ended up having conversations with their fans, people who've been following them for like, you know, like since I was a kid,
yeah.
like literally listening to them since I was a child, and hearing the impact that their music has had on people's lives, and just feeling it really felt like we were part of something really special for that week, you know, like everybody coming together and people being really supportive, and people wanting. And I think I think part of it was, a lot of people were saying, I never thought a band I liked would even be close to being number 1. You
Yeah.
know, people saying, I don't really care about the charts because I've always been into kind of left field music, and nothing I like
Yeah.
really kind of. But I think because of the pandemic, some bigger pop stars have been holding up on releases, so it has given kind of more, you know, bands who have a strong fan base but who are kind of more alternative or like independent artists a chance. Because Architects then got a number 1, which is amazing as well, because they're also an
Yeah.
independent label and like a metal band. So it's like, I think it's been like an interesting run of sort
Mm.
of, you know, more, yeah. And then Maximo Park got to number 2,
Yeah.
uh, which was great, and I love Maximo Park. Yeah.
Yeah. No, me too.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was
Great.
just a really positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, yes, please pass on congratulations. Yeah, no, and yeah, no, really great. And yeah, what an amazing piece of work as well. Like, yeah, really, really awesome. Um, and speaking of lovely pieces of work, I have had the absolute honor of having you work on one of my songs, which we're going to play on the show, which is very exciting. Um, and I just can't wait for people to hear this. I really, really love it so much. So you did a remix of "They Come For You," and yeah, I'd love to just hear a little bit about your kind of thoughts about sort of approaching it as a remixer, actually, and what you kind of think about, and yeah, how you do it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I've done quite a lot of remixes, and I mean, I really love this song. I love it. I loved it the first time I heard it. It was just one of those songs that you immediately love and you keep loving. You know, it's just a great song. It's such a good song. And I really, you know, I knew that I was like, I think I can do a really good job with this. And a lot of the time when I'm doing a remix, I'll sometimes like completely deconstruct something
Mhm.
and, you know, change it like quite dramatically. But with this, I just felt like it's really just a great song, you know? And I wanted to sort of stay true to, it has a sort of feeling of nostalgia for me, quite 80s,
Mhm.
which I love. And I wanted to really bring that out even more, and like bring in some more like sort of sort of highlight the atmosphere, but also really highlight you and the song itself and your vocal and yeah, I really loved it. I loved doing it. It felt very natural. It was one of those things where it was like happy accidents working and like everything just sort of came together as I was working on it. And I just really enjoyed the whole process so much. Such a great.
Well, no, thank you. And yeah, it's really nice to kind of hear a little bit about that as well and what you kind of think. And I think that's one of the really exciting things about something like a remix is that you kind of have a song that you've already created, but you sort of give your little baby over to someone else's to put into their mind and like see what comes out the other end.
Yeah,
And I really, that process really excites me actually. I know for some people, I think they, having spoken to other people, like they maybe feel a bit more precious perhaps about stuff and they don't want it to kind of change, which I totally get as well. Um, but for me, I'm like, I'm always going to have the original songs. I'm like, whatever else comes out, like it's probably something I would never have thought of doing myself. So I think that's really
I
fun.
think that's exactly it. I think you what you just said is it. Like you something you would never have thought of doing yourself. And I think that's what's magical about remix, you know. I've um I've got some remixes coming up by other people for my album, and they're reimagining the songs that I would never have thought of doing myself, but I'm like love them so
Yeah.
much, you know. I think it also can like breathe new life. If you've written a song, you know, song can be so many different things.
Mm.
And I love that. Like I love, you know, and I understand some people, you know, I get attached to like
Yeah.
people's version of the song and then I hear a cover or something, I'm like, I don't like it so much. But it doesn't matter. I think every time something, you know, a song kind of changes form, it's like a new, you know, just breathes new life into it. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it becomes, well, I think you, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like recording, writing and recording songs and like all that process is such a internal kind of intense thing. Or maybe you've got a small group of people, maybe a producer, whoever you're working with, that you're so excited about it, but you can't tell anybody about it. But then like when it comes out into the world, it's kind of like it is that thing of like, okay, here you go, little child, into the world, and then it becomes kind of everybody else's thing
Totally.
now. It's now yours as opposed to just mine. So that's how I
Mm.
feel about it anyway.
I feel like that too. I
Uh,
think songs, I don't think you have really, as an artist, I don't really think you have ownership over the meaning of it. You might have ownership over the intellectual property of your creative work, which is important. But I think when it comes to meaning, people will always place their own meanings on songs. And I think that that's what's so great about song. It's
yeah.
like you can listen to a song and it will apply to your life,
Hmm.
even if the songwriter has written about something completely different. You that it's I think that's magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It's like music's cool, isn't it? Isn't it lovely?
it's great, great.
Yes, pretty great. um, and so you've been doing quite a bit more like sort of remixing and mixing and mastering stuff as well. Did you, am I right in thinking that you're studying a little bit more of that as well, like that kind of side of stuff?
I am about to start a mixing course
Yeah.
uh,
Cool.
because I got the transmission fund from Help
Yeah,
Musicians,
that's
which is
right. Oh,
great.
amazing. Yeah, congrats on that.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I have to confess that I really don't like writing applications because I'm neurodivergent. I find it really hard. So my husband wrote it for me. So he likes to remind me that it's his funding. It's not mine.
Well, to be fair, you got them to number one, so you know.
Well, exactly. It's like a fair exchange.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so I'm starting that in May, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm also a little bit apprehensive because obviously all the things that I'm kind of comfortable with and confident with are like songwriting and production and arranging and lyricism. You know, these things are very creative, they're very intuitive. You can just kind of be like, you know, it's kind of like when I cook and I just throw things in. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, well, maybe it's going to work, and I kind of intuit how to make it taste good. And then I try to bake, and if I do that when I'm baking, it does not work. And I feel like mixing is kind
That's a
of like
very good analogy.
the baking of music by like if you get really good at mixing, then you can start to do those things. But I
Mm.
feel like you need to really know the basics first. So I'm kind of excited about that, learning to like really get a bit more technical.
Yeah, that's it. It's the technical bits of it, isn't it? Oh yeah. Well, great. Good luck. It's like whew, over my head. In this current moment, I do. It is one of my things is to kind of get into that more, but not quite yet. And we're going to hear another track of yours on the show as well, which is sticking with the remix theme. So it's a remix that you did of your own track, Crystalline. This was the first one, is that right, that you'd kind of released? Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about it?
Well, I just had always felt like that song needed to be fast. I mean, obviously it was half speed originally. I didn't actually change the tempo, but the version of my song on the album is kind of half speed and was produced. It was co-produced with this really talented guy, Lewis Gardner. But really, I mean, it was the song on the album that I had the least to do with production-wise. So it was really his vision, and he did a really great job. He kept some of my parts, but really he reimagined the whole thing. And then my friend Graham played on it, and Graham is like he has a project called Remember, super talented guy. And so I really loved what they did, but I also knew that if I'd done it, it would have been different. But I thought it was special. So I was like, this is really special. I loved what Lewis had done. So I kept it on the record. And because I think he captured that kind of crystalline thing. Like he managed to make it feel like sort of, I don't know, have that sort of sheeny thing, which I really thought was really special. And I could never have done that myself. But then, we were in lockdown. I was trying to distract myself from pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided to try to remix it, and it just happened, kind of came together. And I still wanted to do something more dancey because I always kind of felt like it could be that. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. Really
Yeah, no,
like
it's
it.
great, and yeah, you're right. It makes you want to dance, which is which is great.
All
Which
I want.
that's, I mean, sometimes that is literally all we need and all we want.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of dancing and like clubs kind of historically have been places of like connection and escape and like radical spaces. So
Hmm.
there is something I think really radical about dance music. It's always kind of, most of it anyway, is usually sort of like progressive communities.
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, real communities as well in those spaces. And so yeah, I mean, I hope. Here's hoping that they, alongside all the music scenes as well, will come back thriving again at some point,
Yeah.
whatever shape and form. But yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming to chat to me and remixing my song.
Well, thank you
um,
so much for asking me to do it. I loved it. It's
yeah,
great.
it's been such a pleasure. Well, yeah, very excited for people to hear it. And what else should we watch out from you next? Is there anything? So we've got this cool live stuff that you're talking about up in the Highlands. Anything else we should watch out for?
So I've got so many things planned. My brain is like I'm trying to like remember what so many things. Lots of things, lots of exciting things. I've got some remixes coming out by other people of my songs. I've got another live thing that's going to be coming out summertime-ish, and then some new music.
Very
Just
exciting.
things. Yeah.
Always room for new music, I think. So, well, thank you so much, and hopefully keep enjoying the sunshine for a little bit longer.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, and all the best, and we will chat again very soon, I'm sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.